West Coast Live.
Woo!
Tonight with the MLM points champion, the Pro Mod division, James Massetti. He pulled it off.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you. So tell us about the season. I mean, you started off like what, 4th or 5th, and then you just kept staying there. Like always top 5. It was always consistent.
That's what yellow fever's good at. I gotta say, I kind of just every time I drove, I just gave her full throttle first 20 feet and just kind of let it come up and let it do its thing. She's just consistent. She's, she likes the loose tracks for sure. Can't really compete with the Reeve horsepower, but
right. Well, we're all in that boat, no doubt about it.
Yeah, we're all in that boat, I guess. Yeah, it's consistent. It's probably been down the track more times than any vehicle probably.
I would say
it's the same truck since the 70s.
Right. Yeah.
And I gotta say also, I only drove 8 of the 12 points events. So I gotta give a lot of credit to Kev and Trevor.
Yeah, true. But it's not like those guys have never drove it before, so.
Yeah. That's the cool thing about that truck. Anybody could get in it at any time. As long as their last name's Massetti, I guess, and it works. Yeah, but it was a great season,
man. Awesome, right on.
It was awesome. I mean, they were you and Garrett with Triple Throwdown were tied last night of.
That was so cool. Yeah,
it was like draw the gun.
Battle Royale,
and to have like 10 to 15 trucks at every single event this year. I don't know if we had any that were below 10 in that class.
Only one.
There might have been 1 or 2, one.
Winnemucca.
But even then, it was 8 or 9 in that. Yeah. Okay. But I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad Yellow Fever could hang in there for one more year. We'll see next year, but.
Well, you got a big old bullseye on his back now.
I know. Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
I think Garrett's already. He's like, I'm getting a new motor, new clutch, new.
I know. I saw that on Facebook.
We're gonna throw all this new stuff at it, and
he loses by like 2 points or whatever, and he gets brand new motor and clutch, whatever else.
That's all right. I mean, that's what it's about,
Well, that's what it's about. Yeah, it's awesome. Love it. Yeah.
Jay Preston wants to know what's in the cup, Jason.
Iced tea.
Right. Yeah. Long. Yeah.
Colorado iced tea. How's that?
Colorado? Oh, okay.
And now we got another guest coming in here for Chris to introduce.
Mr. Dan Mayer.
Hey, Dan. All right.
Illinois. Right on, man. One of the best.
How you guys doing?
We're doing good. How you doing, man?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Awesome.
History buffs here. We got Jason and Dan, man. These guys know history of pulling from back almost before I was born. So it's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
Yeah, Dan, right now we're talking with James about his taking the title at GSI for the 6200 Pro Mods. It was down to the wire.
Yeah, the second night pulled it off.
Yeah.
That was impressive. That was very impressive.
It was a cool season for sure.
It was cool all season. I mean, we had a great.
Yeah.
I wish Dan could have been there the whole time. That would have been awesome.
The only thing that could have made it better, I think.
Yeah. I mean, come out more than once a year, Dan. That'd be great.
I had a great time. I would, like you say, I kind of paid attention to California pulling back, and when it was in the magazines, you could see it on ESPN and stuff. And
right.
So you kind of got familiar with a lot of the guys out there. And then, like, everybody was kind of telling me it kind of went into like a hiatus for a while. The early 90s came and then it just kind of went away. But it's awesome to see it back again. That's really cool.
Yeah, with the vengeance. Thanks to the Massetti family for that. I mean, they really have took this to the next level.
No, they're doing good. Everybody went through that phase with the monster trucks, when the pulling wasn't really dying out, but it was getting a little bit lackluster, and then a lot of the promoters went with the monster trucks for the fairs and stuff. So it's really good to see all the pulling back. It's getting big in all classes again, which is awesome. And Dan, you've been around that stuff so much, so you've seen all sides of the coast, Midwest, all the big events, Indy, Toma, all that stuff. So those ones never seemed to shrink at all. They always had, same amount competitors every year, and it's really awesome. Massetti's in them right now. They're getting some big names and getting the pulling big again out here, which is cool. Really cool.
Yeah, well, you talk about those big events, but I recall, gosh, it had to be mid 80s or so. The one pull in Anaheim Stadium had over 50,000 people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a weekend of pulling for a lot of places, in one night. That's pretty darn impressive, So that's why I say that, the part that is interesting to me is it's still very, very popular out there. And that, that's really cool. And, now that everybody's kind of got, as long as the rules can stay, the same across the board, I think you look for next year, I think there's going to be quite a few people coming out west next year.
That would be awesome. And the thing about back then too is that they had to haul in the dirt to the Coliseums and stuff to make the tracks, and then haul it up when they were done. I mean, it was basically on top of football fields or whatever, to make the track. But nowadays, that's just not even cost effective. They're just like, we ain't doing that. We'll do arenas or whatever. But pretty cool, to see it back.
And one thing,
really cool.
Well, one thing that I liked what they used to do out there with was it Anaheim and San Diego is they ran like down each foul line because they were baseball stadiums.
Yeah.
They would run run a track here, then go back this way, and that's kind of unique. You didn't see that too many places, so that was.
They would have both distances together, and then whoever had the most, two different sleds and two different tracks right there, bang bang, and it made.
Well, that's where I got introduced to like the Cal Poly sled, and they use that for those shows, and then come to find out that everything still that's really neat that's still going strong, and that's a unique program, really.
Yeah, for sure. Cal Poly kids do a great job.
Yeah, and some of that stuff back then too was the Coors Triple Crown. They do the pulls, mud bogs, and monster trucks. I know San Diego, Anaheim did it. Portland did it one year too, where they had a little bit of everything. And man, my hats off to the promoters for that, to coordinate mud bogs, monster trucks, and pulls all in one event.
Right,
I know they didn't have the time constraints then, but really cool, man, really cool.
You'll never see it. It'd be cool to see again, but you'll never see that, I don't think, ever again. But I mean, you talk about dollar for dollar, your money's worth there. I mean, what a show.
See all of it. Yep.
No, they did a lot of that. They did a lot of that in Texas too. But
So, Dan, what was your favorite pulling place to go to? I know you've been everywhere. What's your favorite one?
One of my favorites, I've got a couple favorites, but Hillsboro, Wisconsin's one of my favorite. And then Bowling Green, Ohio is definitely up there on the list. Farley, Iowa. I mean, I don't have a one favorite. There's there's a bunch of, whether it's, the folks down in Benton, North Carolina are great. It's like I say that just about every venue you go to is unique, and the people that's the part that I like is the promoters and everybody. I mean, the folks at Goshen, Indiana are great people. The Simons up there in Farley, Iowa. I mean, it's just Chapel Hill, Tennessee. They're all great people, and they're all great to work with. So
that's what it's about right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Being around good
people.
And
that's where the next generation, that's over there at the other corner here, James coming into it. He's going to be one taking this torch and running with it here in a few years.
Yeah.
This next generation is going to keep
going up, right?
Hopefully, yeah.
There we go.
And I'd love to hear how our pull, or what you've seen of pulling out here compares to back there from an announcer perspective, because we can see it from the puller perspective, but how is it different?
Really, it's not different at all. I mean, it's really, you guys have first-rate equipment out there, and the competitors are all great. They're all great to talk to. I mean, there's really no difference, really. I mean, you could take your event and put it out east, and you wouldn't really notice any difference, really. And which was unique about this fall is I had never done a pull down in Texas before. We went down that pull down in Lufkin, Texas, and I had seen a lot of those guys up at the farm show. The National Farm Machinery Show pull up there. That there's another pull that you talk about. Great people, but had seen a lot of those guys come out and run, and it was good to see them in their home territory. So that was really neat. So I like you say, if you didn't know where the pull was happening, you wouldn't have known. You would have thought it was somewhere in the Midwest. I mean, there's really no difference. I mean, everybody's got their, like your country modified class and, different, everybody's got little, this or that. But for the most part, all your big classes were, like you'd see anywhere, in the Midwest.
Wow. That's good to hear. That's kudos. Yeah. That's kudos to you guys, Massetti's, for doing such a great job with that GSI, that put everybody on the map, basically,
That's more my parents. I'm not really.
You're in it, man. You're there with them, man. You're helping all of it
for sure.
You help too. So
Dan, would you compare like a Chris Daniels to like a Chris Holdorf or what?
Well, I mean, he's got a little ways to go, but you know what? You haven't seen
it on the ground, Dan, before I can do anything.
I haven't seen since Chris retired. I hadn't seen anybody come in like him. So that was
I wanted to send Chris Daniels some videos of Holdorf about the Chevy Ford stuff, because Holdorf was really big about that, and that's what I think made him real popular too. Was especially when he was pulling with TNT. He had the Ford fans all behind him, and man, anybody that ran a Chevy, you might as well just park that thing out back and light it on fire.
Well,
man. So,
he was great.
That's kind of you, Daniels. You got to pick it up. I'll send you some old videos of him. I want to pick the attitude up. You need to talk like him a little bit.
All right. I'll keep it going.
I don't know. That Ford has been scared all season this year. So,
Ford hasn't been too productive this season. I guarantee that.
Hey, you guys did good. All you guys did good this year, man. You guys made a lot of pulls. That's awesome, man. A lot of miles.
Yeah, a lot of miles.
All you guys did good.
We had a blast.
Awesome.
That's the main thing. We had a blast.
Yeah.
Well,
that's it.
By far the best season we've had as far as having fun.
Well, like Chris and I had talked about it. We started off this season with going to Illinois, going to the Pullers Championship.
That's right.
Going back there,
Which
back there, had a good time, and it just seemed like it rippled from there.
Yeah, to be voted in by the fans and stuff to go to that was just incredible. It was like a bucket list,
Yeah.
And, I mean, we did.
It's hard to believe that was this year. Like,
I know,
this
right?
year is
I know it seems like that was so long ago.
Yeah.
It was only May, right?
So, yeah, exactly. And the first time we've ever traveled that far, and we did good. I mean, we had fun. We went out there. We didn't do good pulling. I mean, pulling sucked, but we had a blast. We met a lot of people that we've never met. We've always seen on TV and stuff. The Pagadorns and Bosch and all those guys, and it was neat to see them, neat to meet them.
Yeah, all the heavy hitters were there. I mean, the heavy hitters they were all there.
The big motors were there. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Super nice people. Like the whole experience was just incredible. And the Massettis came out there too. They come out there to support us too. I mean, Reeves helped us get out there. I mean, they supported us 100%, and it was a blast. We had a good time.
That's why I say I think the biggest thing is everybody's got to keep the rules where you guys can do all that.
Exactly.
You guys can come east, and everybody out here can come west, and you got to have that where. And if you don't have that, that's where everything gets divided up, and that's not good. To grow this thing, you need to get everybody's got to unify, really.
Right.
Yeah. I don't speak for MLM here, but I think that's the goal going forward. Like just making all the classes so that a guy from Texas can come out here and pull, or and I think, Dan, a lot of what I picked up from Lufkin, I got to meet with a lot of those guys, and our pull was talked about. Like it wasn't quite in the picture for most people, but it was at least it was relevant, and people were considering it. And I think the
Yeah.
the more we keep this going and keep on the same trajectory, we're going to
Well,
see a lot of those people come out.
And we got people from New York. We got,
Yeah.
Well, that was it. I think, you wait till next year. I think, with Tommy and Dylan doing what they did, I think it's gonna, hey, we can go out there too. We're not doing anything, or
Well, even with us traveling, them traveling, and everything else, and looking at making these trucks fit the rules across the nation, it's opened the door where Chris and I have sat down many times. Hey, do we want to pick someplace and go next year? Do we want to
There you
pick
go.
Rock Valley, Iowa, or go somewhere for an event?
Yeah, Nebraska or somewhere, But yeah, we wanted to try to make another one, but of course, sponsorships and stuff like that come into play. So we got to have money to get there, But
it's just as hard for everybody to come here as it is for us.
Yeah,
to go
exactly.
there.
They got the same boat. They're in the same boat. It's hopefully this economy gets better and we'll be able to do that. So
yep.
Very cool.
And trying to get more eyes on the West Coast out here and more, it opens the door for more corporate America to see that we're doing it out here no different than what you guys are doing in the Midwest.
Right. Right.
Get the Deers, the Case IH, and all that stuff to start getting involved in organizations out here. Could only improve it.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Well, and you guys, the West Coast is, big with the, with drag racing, the automotive side of things. So, I mean, and that's where, for years, with, the Mellows, and you had, Greer Hamilton, Dan Quaylo, would come out this way. And it all just kind of, worked that way,
Yeah.
One thing I think is pretty cool going on right now is all these podcasts, like just kind of bridging that gap a little bit. It's just cool to see. It's, 5 years ago, no polling guy was on a podcast or anything. It's cool that we're branching out to be a little more connected. I like it.
Yeah,
It's opening doors. It's opening doors.
Yeah, it is.
I was supposed to be a substitute, and I end up being on here all the time now. So
on the second show, dickhead.
There you go. See how that works? So you just kind of
you reeled me in. You go, come here.
Yeah, you gotta get the Ford guys on there. There's a lot of fans, on both sides like Ford still. So.
Yeah, I couldn't
hear Chris.
Dodge.
Well, Dan, you remember back in the early '80s, NTPA came out to California a bunch. Remember that?
Yep. Yeah, I remember reading that in the Polar magazine. Yep.
Yeah, I still got a program. They actually had a pull at Sears Point at the drag strip. 1981 NTPA came out.
Really?
And they did Sears Point and Turlock, and I think they did one more on the West Coast, but that was part of the division then. I don't remember when it folded, but I think it was like 83. You probably know.
I want to say it was like 86 or so. Because I think California used to be like Region 6.
Yep, Region 6. Yep.
And they would run like Fresno Fairgrounds. They ran a bunch of Sacramento Fairgrounds.
Yeah.
That was all the NTPA, and then US Hot Rod ran, all the big stadium shows there. But then what was the other, the Cow Palace up in San Francisco, right? That was the big
Cow Palace.
I know I've got a couple of videos of that, still kicking around with
the shortest track in California.
Like 150-foot track. Yep.
and they actually could go this way, or they could go. It was like a V track. Like they started in the same spot, and like the tractors went this way, and the two wheelers went another way, or whatever it was. And that was what was his name? Borba, right? John Borba. Was it?
Yep. Was super cool. And then those guys, they had I think the last big one they had at the Cow Palace was 1988, and Heilman came out. Banner Brothers brought their tractor.
Tim
Virginia Farmer, a bunch of those guys came out. Ron Mealing was there with his 4-engine tractor. That was a huge show, and they had a couple 2-wheel drives, Midwest, but most of them were California, Idaho, Washington guys. But yeah, a lot of the big name tractors came out for that poll.
Yeah,
I don't know how much it costs, get everybody out there, but that was pretty huge. That was the last. If I remember right, that was the last big Cow Palace pull. But
Yeah,
man, the Midwest guys, I think, Banners, obviously they won. Angler was out here. That's when he had 7 engines on Mission Impossible.
yeah.
He had the 3 on the side and the 1 in the middle with the drop box. So pretty cool, because I remember Ron Mealing telling me when they seen those guys, like, man, this is pretty cool. See these guys come out here to pull with us and look at their equipment. And he said all those guys were really cool. They can come up, look at their stuff, talk to them. It was great. Great.
Yeah, Borbin was good. He sent everybody to Hawaii a couple times.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. They did.
It was pretty big here for sure. But it's
that
coming
truck
back
right there went to Hawaii.
Yeah, third dimension. Right,
Yeah, when Siegler had it.
Yep, it went to Hawaii.
Yeah, they had to drain all the fluids and then spray everything down with WD-40. And then when they got done pulling over there, they had to clean everything again and put
Ship them back.
to ship them back because it couldn't have any contaminants on it, dirt or anything.
Yeah, first year John Shipman sent Moonshiner out there. The aluminum, the alcohol ate up aluminum fittings, and when he got to Hawaii, he pulled the thing out of the container, and the fuel tank off the front was laying in the weight box. Like, oh man, okay. So they found a guy that helped him out, get it welded back up, or get another tank so he can go for the night. So that was good.
Dang, yeah, that salt water's brutal and everything.
Was that the old third dimension I see sitting back there?
Yeah,
behind you, John?
Yep.
Okay,
That's
that
it.
is it. Okay, all right.
That's the most powerful truck that John's got in his shop right now. It's way more powerful than those cars. They don't bring it out because
that
doesn't want to get wet.
backwards engine in it. That distributor in the back, it's backwards.
Hey,
wrong.
hey, James likes Chevy stuff, man.
like
Right,
Chevy.
James? Come on, brother.
I like the Chevys and I like the Dodges.
Yeah, Dodgers are good.
Now,
They're
Dan,
all
Dan, on the other side,
Oh man,
Chris, I love your truck. You know that? I've seen that. I used to sit on it, man. That's a good
you
truck.
like me, James? Damn it!
Hey, I love you, Chris. Just
Hurt my feelers.
not a Ford guy.
Okay.
so Dan, on the other side of that wall right there's another truck you'd be familiar with. Is actually the original Wild Hare.
Yep.
Really? Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. A friend of mine bought it a couple years ago. We ran it for one season so far. He's still thinking on what he wants to do on his motor, but it's now called Utterly Wild. It looks almost exactly the same, just no graphics on the side. And he's a dairyman, so we kept the wild thing. Now it's Utterly Wild.
I think I should myself.
So it's still got the old Dodge body on it then.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh,
Still looks
okay.
Same
exactly
chassis,
the same.
Okay. What happened to the Red Rabbit? Did that go down the river somewhere, or did that?
That one, yeah,
It
that
got
one's
cut up.
Oh, okay.
Somebody bought it and cut it up, and
Okay.
Unfortunately, it went to the scrap, man.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Rule book for country mods.
I don't know.
for the closest thing for that. I would say for you guys would be
Pro stock, right?
Pro Stock.
Yeah, Pro Stock, but you'd have to put
Pro
DOT
Stock.
tires on, right?
Yeah.
No, the Pro Stocks around here in southern Indiana have cut tires.
Oh, okay.
Oh, cool.
They're like a, gosh, I want to say they're around 500 cubic inches, and
Yeah.
they're like a derivative of the old super stock class from years ago. Remember
Okay.
the small block
Right.
super stock class?
Yeah.
They ran indoors there for a while, and then they kind of
Yeah.
they,
I know North Carolina. They run. I just watched it on one of Full Pol's TV broadcast, and they had a pro stock class that they looked just like our country mods.
oh, okay.
The same, the weight box, the same, everything. Not 60-inch, 42, and I don't know what they have for cubic inch or anything, but the tire same, all that. So
Well,
Yeah, I
now
wanna
we're going
see-
to add in another guest. One of the best sled operators.
the man behind the
in the
hook,
nation.
yeah,
Man
Yeah,
behind the
Logan
sled.
Thomas. Logan Thomas, how is it, buddy? How's it going?
How's
Well,
it going,
I-
man?
Not
Good.
gonna lie, I almost forgot about this, and I looked at my phone and I told my wife, I said, "I've got to go right now."
Oh man, I'm glad you made it. I mean, I love the rest of these guys, but I really wanted to talk to you.
He wants secrets on that red sled.
No,
what
I
he wants.
don't want secrets. I just want to talk to you, man. You've been behind the hook for so long, and I just have questions. I have questions, a lot of questions.
Well, sounds like y'all were going pretty good with Dan. I don't want to cut in there, but
No, actually, we were on to odd 4-wheel drive classes, and we were just talking about the you guys run down in North Carolina there with the Jeeps. What are those? The light 4-wheel drives? Is that what we're-
light 4-wheel drive.
Yeah, they're a lot like country mods, huh?
Sorta. They're only 4,000 pounds here.
Oh, yeah. But I noticed the weight box and the tires were the same. That's all I noticed. So
Yeah, 31-inch C-Pex. I'm trying to remember it's a shorter wheelbase. I'm not remember. It's not like a full size 135. I don't remember what the wheelbase is. It's one. I want to say it's under 120. I'd have to look it up honestly.
Oh wow.
And,
Chris, you'd fit.
It's a short weight box.
Yeah, it fit. Yeah.
500 cubic
down, huh, James? Damn it.
What's that?
Maybe I should move down, huh?
I mean, I'm not saying you should, but
It's the only class you're going to see Jeeps. I could say that. That's
there are some full CJ Jeep bodies in there, but they're 500-inch engines. Everything's iron block with aluminum heads and one carburetor, but they are a big flange carburetor.
Oh,
but see,
William Pruitt runs one out there.
Same class.
Yeah, he's a good dude, man. I like him, man. We talk all the time, man. He's got that cool Jeep too.
Yeah.
It's a short hitch. I don't remember the length of the hitch, but it's odd. It's only a 17-inch high drawbar.
Oh wow!
Because they pull a mini sled most of the time.
Right. Yeah. I saw you were running
that.
That
would also help with the hop.
You were running them. Shut up. You were running the mini sled too, huh?
Yeah, I run it pretty often.
Yeah. So you were talking to me at GSI and said that they're building a new sled for you.
Yep.
So what color is this one going to be? Another red one or?
Yeah, it'll be the same color.
Same color. Right on.
What's wrong with red, Chris? My truck's red. What the hell?
Well, you know,
my truck's red. Great color.
No, blue
John's
is
truck's
first
red.
place.
Come on.
Blue is first place ribbon and red is second place ribbon. That's all I look at. Okay, I'm sorry, guys, but that's how I look.
How do the cops feel
Yeah,
about
but what's
that?
yellow? Because he won the championship.
Yeah, well, he's just not
gold, actually gold.
Can't even compete with him. He's like the gold level, you know.
All right.
He's the gold level. So Logan, I have a huge question, man. So what is the difference between, I mean, on your sled setting, between say you have the same weight in the box, okay? So if you go from a street stock diesel to a I don't know, country mod, what's the difference in your setting?
Probably wouldn't be much. The country mods, when I pulled them there the other night, they were telling me specs on them and this, that, and the other, but
yeah,
I was I'm not gonna say shocked, but they I don't know what I wouldn't say the stock. We didn't pull stock diesels there with you the other night, but they got to be pretty close. I'm not sure what the stock diesel might not do a little more. I don't know how restricted they are out there.
Well, it's just the weight. The stock diesel, I'm sure, weighs 8,000, so it would be 8,000 versus 5,500. So you pretty
close.
Yeah, I'd say it's hard to compare. Those are pretty. I mean, with our sled, we run those pretty similar, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Okay. I was just curious.
Logan, how was it running like our dirt? Because that's one of the better tracks that we have here. How was it that compared to your tracks in North Carolina? Did you notice anything different feeling in the sled or?
I mean, don't take this part the wrong way, but sand is the same no matter which coast you're on.
That's fair.
It's just a different color.
Yeah.
Eastern North Carolina, the sand's orangish colored. We have a lot of red dirt over here in like central and western North Carolina. It's not really red clay. There is some clay, but most of it, if you look at our dirt over like locally here where I live, it looks like a glitter bomb went off in it because it's full of mica and silicate. And if you get it just a touch too wet, it is the greasiest substance you've ever tried to deal with.
Oh wow! You become taller as you walk in the house, right?
No, it's not even that sticky. It's just,
it's just stick. Oh wow!
You can almost, you know how if you're in your house and you got good socks on and you got hardwood floors and you run and slide.
Yeah.
If it rains,
nice.
Matter of fact, it done this at Hickory here in the fall. It sprinkled rain and we had to blade the track off, and you could literally run a few steps and just slide on it. It's just slide. But no, everybody kept telling me on Friday at Madera that the tractors do good and trucks don't, and it didn't take me long to figure that out. It's soft and loose enough that the trucks had to kind of back way off on the trucks, but you almost needed to go up a gear or an extra weight for tractors.
Yeah, them fat tires.
Merely enough that the big tires done pretty good on it.
Yeah. Yep, them fat tires get us. That's why they always say like Turlock was usually sandy, and their tractors are like, oh, we loved it. It was great. And I'm like, yeah, not so much for us.
Yeah, we pretty much never have a track that's good for both trucks and tractors. Yeah, one or the other.
Yeah.
I don't know. Lakeport was right there close.
Good clay track.
Lakeport was a great track. Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
JB, we were home at Lakeport, man.
Got second place.
Fast track. They whipped it up. I wish they had a little bit more time to get the track ready at Lakeport. But, man, you guys did good. Good dirt there, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that weekend was great. That Willits Lakeport weekend.
Oh, yeah, that was a good run.
Neat. Yeah, I look forward to that. Hopefully that goes again next year. That was fun. That was a good weekend.
Yeah.
There's a question here that'd probably be best for Dan or maybe even Logan, but
Florida. I don't know if there's a road from here to there, is there?
You gotta make a loop, big loop, big circle, half circle.
Well, Florida really the last few years here has kind of made more of a comeback than it has.
Yeah, I see that they're
right on.
Yeah, they're bringing it back. Yeah.
Well, home of Chris Holdorf, man, the Florida Cracker.
There you go. See, he's ready.
Well, Mr. Sparkle too was from down there years ago, so he was national champion.
Yep.
So I mean, it's doable, Jay, but it's a long ways, man.
Yeah.
Ways.
Yeah,
it ain't cheap either.
No.
Oh, Logan's out.
Where'd Logan go?
He's back. I gotta bring him back in.
Preston's gonna get a phone call. I can tell you that.
I hit the wrong button. Sorry.
That's all right, man. No problem. No problem at all.
Logan, what's your operation like running the sled? Is it just you that does it in North Carolina? Or I mean like when you go to an event, what's that like?
Yeah, around here, I mean, especially when we take both sleds, there's always usually somebody else with me. There's one event we do in early June that is our state level pull, but it's 2 tracks, and my dad actually does the other track right beside me he's still got one of the old thumb sleds, and he runs the second track right beside me.
Nice.
Well, that looks like a mug shot there.
That was a milk curtain, I think.
Good looking sled.
Actually, that picture right there, I know exactly where that was taken. That was taken at Goshen the year we had to run the opposite direction and the air conditioner had quit. That's why the back went in the door.
Oh, man.
You poor guy. I can only imagine no AC in them cabs.
Yeah. Sit right over for the heat anyway.
Yeah, the poor guys, right? No air conditioning.
Yeah, the humidity too.
Yeah, meanwhile, Dan's sitting up there in direct sunlight on the stage.
Right, yeah.
Goshen's, the Goshen, you're right out there in the sun. Yeah, that's
who sets up where you sit, Dan? Because I was noticing at GSI, I was like, man, they're really setting them awful close to the track there.
Well, that was kind of we were kind of playing around there with Texas, and then at this pull here, more or less, where we kind of want to be, and it's kind of work in progress. So where that's going to be, but I'm trying to get it that way. Just about all the events is where
wow.
I'd like to have it. I mean, obviously not too awful, not too close, but yeah, that just kind of worked out there where it just it seemed closer than it was, and but yeah, that's
right on.
we're just kind of playing around with different ideas and different
Chase
things.
and Doug didn't want to carry the podium any further away from the trailer.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Yeah. In Lufkin, it worked out pretty good because you guys were right kind of between the track and the crowd, right? So you kind of got to do both. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that kind of worked. And then as they brought them back around, we were able, everybody was right there. And that worked out pretty good right there. Yeah.
We should do that GSI next year, move them to the other side.
Yep.
Yeah, it could work.
Everybody as they loop around or.
Yeah.
Dan, how did you get into announcing? I don't know if you've asked that already. Or...
Well, I'm an old dirt track racer from up. I'm originally from outside of Buffalo, and we moved a couple of years ago. We moved down here to Southern Indiana, just outside of Louisville. But when I was back in New York, I ran dirt cars for a bunch of years, and my oldest boy was 2 years old, and it was getting to the point where I was out in the garage and he's in the house, and it's like, okay, I can do this when I get older. So, I stepped away from racing, and after a year or so, my wife's like, you got to do something. You're driving me crazy. So I've always liked pulling, and I've always followed pulling. So we had, in Western New York, we had a state organization out there, and more or less just went to the polls. And, at the time, the president out there said, hey, I'd like to give this a shot. And well, they were affiliated with, PPL. And so one thing led to another. And then that's just really how it started for me, really.
Your wife just didn't want you in the house, and now you're.
Well, yeah, you got to get another hobby, So it's like, okay,
hey, you're not married yet, James, so you'll figure it out.
I'm sure. Days coming.
You'll remember the yes, dear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the advice I'll give you.
No, that's great, Dan. You're the photos that I've seen in the last couple of years on Facebook that you've been posting from your pulling reference. There's a lot of stuff that I'm not saying I've seen everything, and I haven't, but man, there's some really cool trucks that are showing up on your end from the pictures and stuff. It's really awesome. It makes me happy, man, because there's a lot of, trucks that didn't make the mainstream magazines and TV, you know what I mean? They weren't always on there. And I just wanted to say this right now. I know a lot of you guys know Gary Collins, and this just, be with him on what happened. It's a really sad deal. Yeah. And, Gary's been around this sport long time with little KW and all, Centaur and all his trucks and Avenger. And, I that's one of those things I pray never happens to nobody, Yeah. And he's a good dude, man. I hate to hear that happen to anybody.
Yeah, no, that's a tough deal there, because he kept that thing restored and, was really proud of that truck. And did any of you guys had the opportunity to see that truck live?
Yeah, he came out to Clements out here.
Okay.
When Donnie Reeves had the pull down there. And he was also, I seen him San Diego, that was in the early 80s, but the last time he was out here at Clements, Chris, that was 90, what do you think,
98?
Chris? Late 90s, Chris?
97, 98?
99.
Yeah, but yeah, Gary came out here with the Bud Boss, as sponsor. But yeah, we did get to see that truck pull. It was amazing.
That's why I tell everybody, it's like if you saw that thing in person, you'll never forget it, because the way that thing ran, and it just an impressive piece there, and it's a shame, but yeah, it's
and like Gary said in the YouTube video that they put out here just a couple weeks ago or a week ago or whatever it was, there were seven trucks ever in the United States is built with twins.
Yeah.
4-wheel drive. Yep.
Two of them are from the West Coast. One of them is still in existence, and the Bud Boss was still in existence, and unknown about the other ones.
Right.
Yeah, Jaskie's had one at one time.
Yep,
Bowden's
the
out.
Meisterbrow one.
Yeah, Bowden's out. And,
That was a two-wheeler, though, wasn't it?
no, they converted that into a two-wheeler. It
Oh, did
started
they?
in
Yeah,
four-wheel
And
drive.
Dan's right. The Bowden's had Super Stud, which had the
Yep.
flatbed with two motors in it, one in the front and then one on the flatbed.
Because
Oh, wow.
way back when, before they were U.S. Hot Rod, I'm trying to think what they were called.
TNT or something.
No, they were. Oh gosh,
SRO.
no, it was before that. I forget what it was, but that was the idea, was they were going to have a super extreme class or whatever with the 2-engine trucks. Is what they, that's what their idea was, and it just never took off. It was, that was going to be their, in the early 80s. That they tried that.
Yeah, around 80,
Never-
81.
Super extreme trucks or something they were called, or I forget what it was.
Super X.
That's it. Super X. That's the
Super
name.
X. And wasn't that they were trying to do the National Hot Rod Truck Pulling Association? The first one was in
That's what it was. It was originally Truckorama. That's the name.
yes, Truckorama, yeah.
Truckorama. Then it went to that national, and then they're like, this is stupid. The name was too long, and that's when they came up with they copied the NHRA and just went with the
Yep.
U.S. Hot Rod deal. And yep.
If you're a puller, you got to love to listen to this, because these two
Yeah.
are going way back, and they know they're like historians in truck pulling. This is awesome.
Well, like I tell everybody, when I was 10 years old, I could go into the grocery store and buy a pulling magazine off the shelf. I mean, that's the way it was, So I mean, you were able to see what was going on in the sport, and that's what drew me. We had local indoor pulls, TNT pulls back home, and that's, you saw those, but then you saw the Orange Blossom Special, and it was like, oh wow, where do I see this? And
Yeah.
so that was but like I say, every off-road magazine back then had tractor and truck pulling in it. And
Absolutely, man. It was pulling power, and then you had off-road truck pulls, and then all that stuff. Like you said, you can go to the newsstand and get it. Remember Bob George, who started, he was the one that started the long name to the short name USHRA, and then he was the big move to get all the pulls indoors. Remember, he wanted to do all the hot rod pulling indoors. So,
Right.
There was a lot of literature back then.
Because Bob George actually had a history with drag racing, so
Yep.
he just more or less took and that's where he grabbed Art Arfons, and he took that, and that's what he brought the pulling indoors, and that was his big thing, was making a show, basically, is what it was, and I mean, they and then it just kind of morphed from there. The Owensboro guys that put the pull on there at the farm show. They were the ones that started TNT back then, which was a rival to US Hot Rod. And because you remember, NTPA just did outside stuff. That's all they ever did back then. So you had these guys that went year round, on the winter circuit.
Yeah.
So you could pull, you could pretty much pull year round if you wanted. And it's like Dan Coelho, that's what he used to do. He would run with you, during the summer, and then he'd come during the winter. He'd run, all over the country, really.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome. Right on, Dan. Yep.
So Spillman's got a question for Logan.
Yeah. Where's the best fast food?
In and out, baby.
I had to grab one before I got on my airplane.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm leaving California. I better, and there was one right in the parking lot there. So that
was pretty handy, because I think me and Kevin, we went like 3 times.
So Logan, where's your best place to have a pull at, man? Where's your best place you like going out with crowd, fans, everything?
Do I have to pick just women?
Okay, women, trouble, all of it. Just add it all up and see where your best place is.
Well, it's funny, because Saturday night at GSI, when we talked about Justin was going to run the sled and I'd get in there and ride with him, Brian piped up and said, "You better watch it." Said the last one got in there and rode with him, ended up pregnant. I'm married to her. So I rubbed Justin on the shoulder. I said, "Don't worry, dude, you're not my type." But
You gotta watch out for Justin, man. That guy, I don't know.
You know how rumors are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they spread crazy, especially now, man. Back in the days, rumors they trickled along. Now with the internet, they go bad.
That's awesome.
So, hey, you guys know, North Carolina area is, Gene Fanny's old truck still around, gone AWOL?
That was
It's
up in West
in
Virginia.
West Virginia.
Oh, West
Well,
Virginia. Okay, thanks,
now,
Dan.
yeah.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Dan.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
But that was on that side of the world. That was always a cool truck. He was young when he built that thing and started pulling it, man.
Yeah, he was. He
about all
was
the original of it's the body though. Now,
yeah.
right.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Chassis and runs the sunnies and everything. Yeah. It's a runner now for sure. But yeah, the body's still around. Same with Three Bears. The Three Bears truck is still around. It's called Badass now. It's all painted black, but
Is it okay? I hadn't seen it.
Yeah.
I know when it was originally, when Smiths originally sold it, they sold it to, I forget who it was, and they couldn't use the name. They weren't allowed to use the name on it, and
Right.
they ran it that color for who had
wasn't
that?
it the Booth brothers, Dan?
Yeah,
Bob Smith.
Paul Booth and them.
Booth. That's
Yeah,
who it was.
Booth. Yeah. But then they sold it to Savage, I think. Dan
Yeah.
Savage has it now.
Yeah, Savage the one painted it like flat black or
Black
whatever.
is called
Yeah.
Badass now. Yeah.
Because Savage was the one that had the Californian truck there. Of,
Yeah, Ribero's old
David
truck. Yeah.
Ribeiro.
Yeah. Yep.
One trick
Yeah,
pony
they cut the
or
front bumper and grill out. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, there's that
Californian.
The
The
California
Californian
Truck.
step
Yeah.
side. Yeah.
Yeah.
He probably.
yeah,
he
'cause you
probably
had the
still has one.
Californian, you had the one trick pony, and you had Mare to Spare.
Meredith Spare. Yep. Remember? Yeah.
One
Yeah.
trick pony went back there, and I think Roy Everett or somebody he knew got a hold of that one.
Yeah, it's still around. I don't know about the other one. You know, the one I'm trying to
Now-
look for is Waiting Around. I've never been able to find Waiting Around.
Wait,
No.
oh man,
That
yeah.
was Donnie Hayes. Was
Yep.
that the name? Donnie
Yep.
Hayes.
Donnie Hayes had it. Yep. And it sold and went through, found right by here through Nevada here, and I saw it go, and I'm like, oh man, I wish I had the money to buy it because it was a hooker back out here.
That was a sharp truck. That was
Yeah.
a sharp. It was a
He won
Ford.
a lot of money in that truck. He went to Texas and all over the United States Auto Association and won a lot of money with it. And it went back east. It's around you, Logan, somewhere.
Yeah, Donnie Haynes had it, then Rich McAllister from MacArthur had it
89
after Donnie.
89 Ford called, or 90 Ford called Waiting Around. It was. I don't know what it is now, but had a 645.
Because he drove he trailered around with Tinker Toy there.
Yep, Bruce McClintock. Yeah.
Bruce McClintock.
Bruce McClintock, Tinker Toy. Yep. Yep. And that truck's back there now too. It's in Ohio now, I think. I think Bobby said that they live in Ohio now. So
Well, I think the first couple years on USHRA, Bruce McClintock and then Jim Roach with Brute Force.
Yeah.
They were out of Merced, and then Qualo. Those guys ran together at several of the polls for USHRA. Dan stayed with it the most of the time, you know.
Yeah.
But McClintock and Jim Roach did it too.
Yep.
Yeah, because that's what I say with it. One of the last times when Dan Quayle came out to Bowling Green, it was McClintock and the Waiting Around truck were, they were on the same trailer there. They hauled them out. And
Captain Hook too. Paul Leachman was with them too.
That's right. Yep. He was another. And somebody said he was at the GSI puller.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I talked to him. He
yeah.
was walking around there. Yep.
He'd been fighting cancer for quite a few years, but he still got the truck, but it's not running. But
Okay.
he's having fun, just trying to stay alive.
Now,
All right,
where
Chris, you guys,
was
what was the name of his truck before it was Captain Hook?
King Truck.
Hey, way to go, Chris. Ford guy, remember that. Okay,
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, he's one of my idols, man.
now where was he out of?
Pioneer, California.
Pioneer, California.
Pioneer, California. Okay.
Up there in the hills on 88. Yeah.
And that's where the second Mechanic's Nightmare ended up that Rosen's owned was I can't remember the guy's name that bought it, but he was out of Pioneer.
Yeah.
And then he finally sold it after that thing being parked for many years to a guy up in Canada.
Yeah, Alan. I forgot his last name.
Yeah, you're right, John. Yep.
The aluminum
Alan's
frame.
first name.
Mechanic's Nightmare you're talking about, right? Not the one you had.
Yeah.
No,
S10.
the first one. Yeah, or the second one, the S10 body.
I remember a story about that S10 body. So they put it together and they had the drive shafts out of it. and they loaded it on
Yeah.
the trailer, and they showed up in Plymouth, put the drive shafts on it, fired it up for the first time, went to move it off the trailer, and the back tires were turning forward, and the front tires were turning backwards.
Oh no!
So they forgot to flop the front end. They ran the military front end. So they forgot to
Oh
flop
man!
it. And so obviously they couldn't pull, but yeah, that was the damnedest thing.
So you were talking about gone AWOL. What happened to the Rat Patrol that was out there?
It's gone.
It got cut up
That's
too.
another one, huh? That
Yeah, old Chet Longacre's old truck. Yeah, he got Donnie Reeves ran it for a little bit,
okay.
and then they pulled it apart and then went to the scrapyard.
Yeah.
Now, why is it that the 4-wheel drive class kind of survived out there? Why didn't the 2-wheelers? Why? Because at one time, late 80s or so, I mean, there was quite a few 2-wheelers out there.
Well, see, a lot of
They're all
the 2-wheelers
scared. I'm telling you, Dan, everybody, they're all scared to run a 2-wheel drive. 'Cause
No,
I
they're
have
not
one.
scared.
All these other guys are scared to
Whatever.
run a 2-wheel. No, I'm just kidding.
You have Loopy to run 2 wheels, man. It's just crazy. But
I'm not sure. I know, I talked to Ron Mealing a lot, and he said, when the class was getting a little bit smaller, a lot of the guys just weren't getting paid like they used to, to go to show up as far as the events, and that's kind of when the super modified class, 4-wheel drive class was going out. But they didn't, they had kind of different deal. They weren't wanting the 2-wheel drives like they used to, because at one time, they were a wheel standard kind of exhibition thing. And then when it got into the competition, some of the guys were going Midwest back east a little bit, and then it just basically died out. There just wasn't the money for it like it used to be, because you're right, Dan. There was a lot out here, especially Turlock, Marston's.
Yeah.
Borba, a lot of there was probably, I mean, I can probably add them up, but there was 14, 15 really good.
That's what I mean. Yeah,
out here.
there was quite a few of them, and then all of a sudden it was like that was it. It was
Dream Tea.
Yeah.
Tea,
the rules.
Shipman, John Shipman.
John Shipman. Yep. Shipman.
Mad Dog Express.
Yep. Drew Hamilton. All those guys ran pretty good, but I think the rules had a lot to do with it, because the guys that went back east had longer wheelbase. They had the bigger blowers and all that, and the guys out west, some of them didn't. So they were, I don't know, detoured.
Well, Marston's actually technically is still on the track with. It's now a tractor. It's
tractor,
Yeah.
thing.
Leroy's
tractor.
Yeah.
But his original Desperado,
That's
It's-
gone. Okay.
it's buried here in Turtle.
Okay.
You didn't want anybody.
What'd you do with Dodge? Did you just bury him? I mean, it's like
Come on, that wasn't just a Dodge.
it grows.
Yeah, this one still gets Jason gets a tear in his eye every single time he hears a story about it. We actually finally got Marston to tell us exactly what happened to it.
Yeah.
He when they discontinued that truck, he took a D8, dug a hole with the dozer, pushed it in there, crushed it, and covered it up.
Buried it. Yeah.
Wow.
There
Yeah,
had to be some real feelings there.
it's buried in his mom's house, and then I keep bugging a couple key people about getting me a map.
There's a
Where
bunch of
it's buried.
hidden trees that grow there now. So
One of these days, I'm just going to go out there with a backhoe and dig it up, do the resurrection of Desperado, because for a short wheelbase truck, that guy, man, they pulled that thing everywhere and it did good,
Yeah.
I don't know if they didn't want anybody to know what they did or whatever, everyone's got their own thing with the trucks and stuff they build, but yeah, it's in the dirt. I want to go get it. I want to go dig it up, even if I can just put it in the front
There's
yard
two
and grow
questions
flowers
here.
around it.
Like you need one more project, Jason. Come on, man.
I like them sitting in the front yard, man.
Hellraiser. You remember Hellraiser 4-wheel drive?
Yeah.
I do.
And then
Was that
the
super
other one he was
modified,
asking
Logan?
about was
Carolina Rebel. Remember Odell Church?
Yep. Carolina.
So,
It was Carolina
so
Rebel.
Hellraiser was Sammy West, Sambo, and part of it is actually, I don't know how much of it, body chassis wise. I'm pretty sure ended up down at Ken Whitley's, which he's kind of started a pretty good collection of whatever he can find from back in those days.
Yeah.
Cool. I like the guy.
Trying to think the Carolina Rebel truck. Oh, I know where it's in Wyoming. It's black with purple flames on it. What's that guy's name?
I know who it is.
Those were the Outlaws.
Yeah, no, it's Black Thunder.
There you go.
Black Thunder is the name of the truck.
That's where the Carolina Rebel ended up at.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Black
I
Thunder.
think Black Thunder there. I think he pulled at the farm show a couple of years
He did.
ago.
He
Okay.
did. Yeah. Well, I know he won actually. Oh God, I can't remember his name. But anyways, he won at Nebraska at Wisner one year. Just recently, like a couple years ago. So
my pink mohawk buddy there, which he don't have no more, he got shaved off at the state fair, so he's a Hellraiser in Pennsylvania now.
Yep.
So, Chris,
Yeah.
if I remember the story right, didn't Grape Ape come from down south to Florida,
Florida,
Nevada?
Bud Davidson.
Yep. He came to Reno. He came to Reno, and then he went.
Supposedly it's still there. It's still there.
In Reno?
What?
Yeah.
No, I heard he went back to Florida.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. He went back to Florida. But I don't know where it's at.
Because I remember watching old videos of him pulling Grape Ape, and there's one thing him and Denny Tucker's notorious for it too, hanging out the window.
Yep.
Hang out that window and watch them front tires.
I think I posted a video of that him winning at Anaheim with the Grape Ape.
Yeah.
Right
that's
on.
It. Yep. He was out of Reno, and then he was a transplant, and then he went back to Leland. Yeah, that's it. Great.
That's the name.
Black Thunder. Yeah.
Yep.
That's Black Thunder. Leland. Yep.
Yeah, Bud, man, that truck pulled good. The Grape Ape, man, that thing was awesome.
Yeah, it was a big Chevrolet in that thing.
Big 600 and something inch right back then, right, Chris?
Yeah, it was like 640 or something. It was big.
Man,
Yeah.
that was a good pulling truck. They always had the, different in today's world, but had the Confederate flag on the back of the tonneau cover. Remember?
Yep.
And that's what's funny is
Didn't Mr. Sparkle, Glenn Davis's truck, have that on it, Dan?
I was gonna
Davis,
say,
yeah.
I think it still does as a
All
pro stock
his
still
all his
now.
trucks.
Well, that's
were
pro stock now, and it's still pulling. Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard this
Hollywood,
story
Florida,
about.
man.
I heard the story about Glenn Davis. So he won championship. Actually, Danny Coelho was telling me the story. He was welding on his hauler and got electrocuted,
Yep.
and it killed him. Poor guy. I mean, and he just got done winning a championship. Now it's a championship again, and guy was a stud pulling.
Yeah, him and Thomas Carneal and the other dude. Those guys used to all run together.
He won Bowling Green. He won.
Yeah, Davis won 4 in a row.
Yeah, he was.
Like,
it was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome. And he had 3 or 4 different trucks, but Mr. Sparkle was the one that he started kicking everybody's butt with.
I like Green Streak, man.
Yeah,
His Chevy. That green one was bad. That was awesome. Had the headers coming out there.
Mean Green.
Mean green, yes, sir. Yeah. Front fender. That was a cool truck.
Yeah.
Carolina Rebel. That truck.
you look back at the videos like what you've posted, Dan, and stuff like that, and we're sitting here talking about a big motor being 600 inch. All those back in the day, they're running 454s and 440s, and you didn't hear many over 500 inch.
572 Rodeck was the big right.
Yeah.
That was the
Black
big
gold,
boys.
the black gold, the Oklahoman were all 572. Yeah.
The way I compare it today is like the 572 Rodaks that they were running in the late 80s and into the early 90s is like Hagedorn's big 800 inch nowadays. That's how the progression has just gone.
Well, Dan, remember Red Grogan? He ran some big Ford stuff, man. Remember?
Yep.
Hillbilly truck. He ran some killer trucks.
So did Bruce McClintock. Bruce ran over 700 inch.
Yeah, with 4 9-inch axles that he spent all that money on. Remember?
Yeah, planetaries. 4 9-inch
Planetaries, yeah.
planetaries. Yeah.
I couldn't believe he didn't peel those gears off, but yeah,
And
he
there was
ran
only
that for a long time.
There were 2 tracks like that in the country, I think. And he said he was one of them. And I'm like, well, that's pretty impressive. 4 9-inch front wheel with planetaries.
That's awesome, man.
700 inch
Remember, the big Sunny Hemi now is over 800 cubic inches. I think
God dang.
Yeah.
who was,
Yeah.
David Mills, I think, was maybe the first one that had one of those in the
know.
pulling truck.
Yeah.
James is getting his next month.
Yeah, mine's on the way. I talked to Sonny yesterday.
I think Donnie Reed ordered one. I'm just kidding, but I told Donnie Reed you better order one of those.
I'm still negotiating a deal. I'm still
you?
working on it. Yeah.
I'm just waiting for the whip to come up short of motor one day, you know.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Supermod
Don't
yellow.
talk like that.
Hey, Kevin won't care. Just take one of them motors out, man. Run Supermod. That'd be good.
Yeah.
I'll never know.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna run down to Brant's shop one day, and he's
There
got
you
like 10 on the shelf. I think
Yeah.
he won't
There you
notice.
go.
One off the shelf. Yeah.
We'll back up
That's
and
what-
punt just a second on the two-wheel drive thing, and I think Dan would remember this as much as anybody. When USHRA started their two-wheel drive thing, you had Bobby Johns and the guy from Michigan that had the Darth Invader. Those were short wheelbase, and
Those
didn't
were short
USHRA
wheelbase.
call that like the sport two-wheel drive or something?
Sport two-wheel drives, and they ran them for 3 or 4 years, and then because they were just mainly indoor trucks, they never pulled outside at all. But then when they bought TNT, they ended up with the long wheelbase two-wheel drives too.
Yeah,
So I just wonder if the short wheelbase two-wheel drive thing from United States Hot Rod, if that had anything to do with why they were short like they were on the West Coast.
The reason they did that was because they had sponsorship from Ford, and they wanted to keep it so they didn't extend the wheelbases on them.
So
right on.
So they just more or less that was a marketing tool for them that said, hey, these trucks are they're mini.
You were a Ford Ranger
Yeah, you were a Ford, an Astro van, a Ford Ranger, the Chevy
Bobby
S.
Johns had the clay kid. And then
S10.
Darth Invader, that was George Stinnett, that had Psycho. Remember, they built that one too.
Yeah. Wasn't Mom's Taxi? Wasn't that Barbara's husband? Didn't he run a Astrovan there for a little bit? Same thing. With
I just remember the Darth Invader. I don't remember. There was only a hand. There wasn't too many of them. I mean,
you're right. Yeah, Alan
Gaines
Gaines built his, which was the Ford Ranger. They had the wheel wells.
Rice
up
Burner was
back,
Rice Burner was a Toyota.
Yeah.
Bill Romsberg was a rice burner.
Actually, if I go to Richards in the summertime, if I leave and go to town at Mount Pleasant, I drive right by where Bill Romsberg lives now. He's got a triaxle dump truck, and you drive right by his house on the way to town in there.
No way.
He doesn't live in the same place. If we leave with the trucks and sleds to get on the turnpike, we have to go through Alverton, which is where Bill was from back then. But his address is Mount Pleasant now. I've never met the guy. I've seen him walking around the yard. I've been tempted to pull in there and talk to him.
Yeah. You should just stop, Logan, and go and say, hey, man, we remember watching you.
Does he have any of his trucks or two-wheelers still around, Logan?
No, they're all the rice burner truck went out to Illinois. They run that. They did run that, and then broke the frame on it, and that was because he extended the frame. Bill Romsberg did the early, after the buyout, and extended that out a little bit, and then he ran it for a couple of years. Then he sold it, and then he was out. But he had at one time he had the two-wheeler. He had a rear-end and dragster he ran. And remember that phase? They went through that for a little bit. And,
Hollingsworth had one too. Mike did.
Yeah. Pulling the
Now, when you guys talk about two-wheel drives, I just remember back in the day, with Alan Gaines with Orange Blossom Special. But another one I used to watch on TV, and it was always cool to watch because there's a TV show, Mother Jugs and Speed.
Oh yeah,
the ambulance.
The old ambulance.
The ambulance.
I kind of want to go back. Logan
told me that's still around too. Oh gosh, where was
it? It
that?
was just for sale not too long ago.
Okay, that's where somebody had told me about that. Yeah.
Logan,
James?
how did you get hooked up with Richard, or how did you come to drive the sled?
Well, so I've told this story 1,000 times.
I'm sure.
But my dad still got his sled that he bought it before I was born. Still got it, still runs it. And back to the hot rod stuff. If you see that, it's thumb 8 and 9. One was red, one was orange, but his was number 11, and it's still pretty much got its same basic shape and stuff. But anyway, 2000 and had to be 2010 or 11. We were showing dairy cattle as I was out of 4-H at that point. My sister was still in it, but we took a couple with some neighbors, and we went to Louisville in November for the livestock expo, and there was a family right across from us with brown Swiss cows from Illinois, and he had empty space over there, and we're like, y'all got more coming? Or, well, yes, this guy from Pennsylvania is coming with his kids, and they're bringing a cow and 2 heifers or something. Well, of course, they get there late, and they come dragging them in, and I seen Richard. At the time, he still wore glasses. He never wears a hat. His hair was all spiked up and stuff, and his kids were little at the time. I don't remember how old they were, but I said, that guy looks familiar. Well, sure enough, that was Richard, and Amy and Nick and Liv, all of them. Of course, we were there for 6 days or whatever, and I went over. I introduced myself, and I said, "You Richard Love?" And he kind of looked. He's like, "Yeah, like where's the cameras?" kind of thing. But I told him, he's like, "Wait, Thomas?" He's like, "You related to Tim and them?" I was like, "Yeah, it's my cousin." At the time, it wasn't long after that Tim had been running one for Dave Hager. So when we kind of figured out who each other were, it was all downhill from there. I called later on and tried to buy it. He'd put the red one up for sale. I wanted to buy it. Of course, I couldn't. There wasn't no way. And Dad, he was too sentimentally attached to his to use for a trade or anything. So I was like, well, I can't buy it. He's like, well, how many pulls you got? I was like, I don't know. There's this, and this, and the rest is history.
Huh. That's cool.
So yeah, thanks to a bunch of Holstein and brown Swiss cows, I got into that.
Good job. How many of your family members run sleds then? 3?
Yeah, my dad, my cousin, and me. Yeah, I guess that's all of us. My uncle, he was so if you read the history books around here, my dad and both of his brothers were more or less in it when it started around in North Carolina, which was 1970, 70. I think they got their they started brush pulling, so to speak, in 72, I think. And then I think they got their charter from NTPA for a member state in 73.
Man, that's awesome.
Dad had a tractor, and Uncle Joe had a tractor, and Uncle Junior, Lloyd Jr., he was named after my grandpa. He never had a tractor, but his involvement from day one, well, I guess, and he did do a lot of public speaking stuff in FFA. So his job from day one was always the announcer. And I got he's 82 now, I think. And he still announces the pull that cool. Dad actually puts on now 5 miles from home.
Wow.
That's cool, man.
Awesome.
That's awesome. And he's still, every once in a while, if he gets a real wild hair, he'll go out and climb on a bulldozer and do a little bit.
And this is what it takes to keep pulling going. I mean, we have great announcers like Dan. We got Logan running the sled, and James kicking our butt in promo. That's what it takes,
And providing marketplace ads.
Yeah, marketplace ads.
I'm good at that, I guess. Nothing else.
If you join Massetti and Friends on Monday night, you'll know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, there's been plenty of questions wondering where Lonnie is. If we're going to call Jen or
Hey, I'm sure they're available. I bet they have nothing better to do.
Yeah, we don't have Schultz be the key speaker on that one.
Logan and Dan, I don't know if you guys, and Jason, I don't know if you guys saw it, but last night we had Monday night we had a
the guy with the 38 wheels on the lawnmower.
Yeah. We found this lawnmower with 38-inch tires on it and called the number that was painted on the side of it. Yeah. And it was this gal from Louisiana, and like
Louisiana, Logan.
When you think redneck from Louisiana, it's this lady. Like it could not be more perfect. So we thought we had found like the funniest podcast guest ever.
Oh yes.
And then her husband comes on, and he's 10 times better. We all were just dying.
We got their life story.
Yeah,
we went.
It was like a 6-hour podcast. And
we went from talking about buying this 4-wheel drive lawnmower to Schultz finding out how their marriage life is.
Oh, gee.
Well,
I heard it got
way
edited.
too many
Facebook.
details.
Or,
It got kicked off. Yeah,
edited or something?
yeah. Got kicked off.
Oh, man.
Facebook, everything. Yeah.
Yeah, it was so funny that Facebook just took it down, I guess. So
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And then when the husband and Lonnie got on there, then we ended up taking a tractor ride in a 1586 International at 1:00 in the morning in Louisiana.
yeah,
Party.
it was
Wow, that was a
unbelievable.
good time. This said head downtown, man.
Yeah.
Hey, Logan, I got to ask you, what was your most wildest ride behind the sled?
Ever or at GSI?
Everywhere. You know, you've been running it a long time. What was your most wildest where you thought, oh, man, I got to hold on right now? What was your most wildest ride?
Probably the first time I think I probably ever took a blown mini down the track in the little sled.
Oh, yeah, those suckers
yeah,
are crazy.
It feels like you're out of control the whole time, huh?
Well, no, it's and if James, have you ever run your dad's blue sled any?
Yeah, I've run the sled a couple times. I've sat.
You get used to your surroundings and stuff, just like if you run any piece of equipment. Well, in the big sled, you know, box has got to travel 20, used to know the distance on that. However many feet it was, the box had to go from all the way back to all the way forward in 300 feet. Well, the mini sled, of course, is a lot less than that, but you're still going the same distance, you know, as far as real estate. So you take off, and it's about like Wile E. Coyote lighting an Acme rocket, the way those things take off. And you take off, and you're at 100 foot, and you're flying compared to what you're normally used to. And like you took off, and you watch the box, and like, okay, it's moving, you know, it's going. But at 150 feet, I mean, the box is only halfway up. Well, it looks like it's in slow motion because it's only got half as far to go, you know, and that's weird.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I bet. But you got to remember, it's only 2,000 pounds. You got to stop. So, I mean, you should be able to do that, right?
Yeah, but 2,000 horsepower. So
3,000 horsepower and 2,000 pounds.
30 miles an hour.
Yeah, your weight to horsepower ratio is well.
You got to get up there. If you're not running 35 with a mini, you've got bigger problems.
Yeah.
35 is the norm for them.
You're flying. Yeah. Flying down the track.
What mile per hour do those go?
They'll get in the 30s, 36, 37 range, much faster than that, and you're probably not going to hold them in 350.
Yeah.
I mean, several years ago, when we were doing a lot of PPL Champions Tour stuff, I know one night at Shides, when we were still in Terre Haute, it was always a really good track for diesel four-wheel drive trucks, and I always loved going there. And we pulled the super stock trucks, and I think we actually got 2 or 3 in a pull-off. It was one of the MAV TV shows or something, and they were like just barely over 300 feet. And I got out, and I think I was going to slide the trip back or something. And Mears steps up there, and he's like, "What if we lighten it up a little bit for the pull-off?" I was like, "Whatever, you tell me."
Oh, dang.
So I just reached down there. I think I slid the trip all the way forward. And Van Hazley was one of them in the pull-off, I think, and he steps up and he goes, "You want to run that all the way up there?" I said, "Well, yeah, why not? I like it. Let's try it." He gave me one of them crazy looks. You know.
We're going to get on the freeway.
Yeah, they got down there in the 320s or 30s, but the ground speed got way up there.
Oh, I bet.
And from then on, I'd always run. I don't know if everybody else was scared too, because at the time they didn't have the power they do now, and they would bounce. They would get pretty violent.
Yeah.
But I'd got to where I'd run them like that all the time, and after that, Van would step up and say, "You gonna run that trip all the way forward?" And I say, "Well, if I could bolt it to the laser pole and it still work, I think I'd figure out how to do it." All right, let's go.
Let's go.
That's funny.
That's awesome. That's funny.
Have you noticed, like, I mean, you and your dad have been running sleds for so long. Have you noticed, like, you've had to set sleds heavier nowadays than 5-10 years ago? Have you noticed any change?
Yeah, and I'll give you a real good example of that in the tractor world, and Dan can attest to this. Before there was such thing as we still call, I don't know how you first pronounce it, Mitas, whatever, the big tires for the tractors. when they came out with the Mitas 24.5, and it was, it's a blank slate, and they got up to 54 or 56 lugs on those now, where everything used to be 48 from a Firestone Puller 2000. The big Pro Stocks, the 10,000-pound Pro Stocks, before they had Mitas tires, 8 weights, third gear, pretty much all day long, they'd go and you'd yank them out of the ground and you were done. When they figured those tires out, almost overnight, well, from one fall to the next spring, you put 2 more weights in the box and went up another gear and hoped you had enough to get those guys drug out of the ground at the other end.
Wow.
The same thing kind of happened with the 30-inch Mitas's when they threw them on all the big mods. It was a 20-foot at least difference with them.
Wow.
The mini rod guys are playing that game now with tires. The Nichols tires, all this kind of revolves around tires.
Yeah.
Horsepower stuff has been small gains here and there and wherever, but tires made the biggest, quickest difference, I'd say.
Wow.
It's interesting.
It's doing it in our class too. Tires are starting to become one of the biggest things in our class.
Yeah, we used to run the CPEX all the time, and then when we went up to CPEX, we put like nickels, like the 2000 nickels on the front. Man, I had to drop 2 gears in the truck. It just sucked that much more life out of the naturally aspirated motor, So I mean, it's a huge difference. Whatever, you did the same thing. Don't even.
On Yellow Fever, we have this cool strategy where we let the wires show a little bit on the back tires. There's more traction,
It's like running snow chains. He's running
exactly. Yeah. That's the goal.
No change.
Put them on backwards so we have a chance, okay?
Here's something else that Dan could vouch for, being from New York. Now, in Western New York, they had pretty good dirt, still do. In the east side of New York, where NYTPA always ran on those horse tracks that was so much stone dust, like nobody over there, you would buy the crappiest tires you could find because it would just eat them up. If anybody on that side of the state, if they own new tires, they never used them at state level hooks. They only used them when they went to bowling.
Yeah,
that's funny. Logan, the new sleds being built, do you think that those are changing to account for the difference in power that these trucks have, or is there any big differences?
Yeah, it's and Von Bauer started it with the Case IH red sled, which is 2 years old now. The pan longer, the pivot pin moved back for better transfer. I mean, we kind of done the same thing on the gray one, and which will now be copied on the red one as well.
Yeah. So sleds are changing too.
Yeah, it's interesting. What was the
speed sled now?
I know it's a big difference between pulling the red one and the blue one at GSI. So
yeah,
I can see they're changing already.
Hey, like John said, Ford. It's a Ford thing.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah,
What was the reason
to get over in either lane? It's good. Chevy guy, it's good, but the Ford guy,
Yeah.
Chris Holdorf was on here. He'd be slapping me around right now. I'd probably get an email, get kicked in the face, but you got to pick it up, Chris Daniels.
You're talking about
you
the
can
tires.
be like Chris Holdorf and just, defend the Ford people.
That's right. That's what you should
do. Like you're talking about the tires, and Logan, I don't know if you noticed them, but over there at Massetti's shop, there's another set of tires for Yellow Fever that, I swear it's got double the lugs on it. It's real close together chevrons.
Are those the sand track tires?
Yeah,
those are 16-inch CPEX, I think, aren't they?
I don't know for sure, but I do know I've seen on our shelf in Nono's shop, whatever, like you could kind of see the progression of tires. Like, some of them are like triple cut, some, it's interesting, all the different things that guys try out.
They're way thinner now. They're cut smoother. Back in the old days, those big Dick CPEC lugs and the Firestones and the Goodyears, they had a huge lug on them. That's where everybody found out their U joints were good, and transmission and all that. Because those things hit a hard track. They found the weakest link.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of that goes back to our end of the business. If you look back at the sleds that they pulled in the 70s and the 80s,
Dragon sleds.
nobody had a pan that dropped. Nobody had grouser bars under a pan.
Yeah,
It
you were
was a
just
thick
dragging.
bottom sheet of steel. Most of the time guys hardly ever even moved weight. You just changed gears in it, and it was a load. And you had to have those big lug tires because that thing was hard to get moving, and you fought it the whole way.
Yeah.
And if you got 20 miles an hour, you were flying.
Right.
It was actual truck pull.
Well, we're seeing
we
that.
had to hook that thing up and pull that sled. There was no rolling out on nothing.
Well, the tree stump. It wasn't even pulling a sled. It was a tree stump, basically.
Yeah.
Well, our old sled before we bought the one from Brad, the old Legend sled, that thing should have been in the Smithsonian when we sold it. But I mean, it was like pulling a tree stump out of the ground when we took off. If you didn't get it moving in the first 20 feet, you weren't taking it anywhere. You're just going to spin out and dig holes. Yeah.
Oh,
The old yellow one.
that thing, you could blow up a motor in 200 feet because it would take so long to transfer.
Yeah. It takes so long to get to that 200 feet.
Yeah.
And we actually still have a couple friction sleds that still run out here with the old blue sled and the Oregon sleds. You don't know if you're going to go 150 feet in a night or you're going to go 450 feet in a night, but you're going to be on the throttle for probably 30 to 40 seconds to get that point.
At least. Yeah.
I love the keyboard guys on pull off all the time that go start fussing and reminiscing about the way they call it drag racing now. And they say everybody now should hook to, real pulling sleds from back in. I'm like, man, equipment now, as high strung as this stuff is, wouldn't make it 150 feet.
Never, you wouldn't.
Nope, you're right. Nope, you're right.
You buzz it at 9,500 for 30 seconds, and that's it. You're done.
Yep.
Yeah, it kind of goes, conversely to the other point we were making about sleds changing. Just, I'm sure the vehicles have changed as the sled, as the weight gets more efficient, and you don't have to, or you can choose how you want to set the truck up. And I don't know. I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I always said it's a cat and mouse game.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody's out here over the winter making more horsepower. Well, the sled guys, they got to keep up with that, So it's just,
So you got to make buddies with Logan and just get the
details. I've been $20 here, bud. How we
do? Everybody in the off season.
If I'd taken all the bribes I've been offered over the years, I probably wouldn't have to work tomorrow.
We wouldn't want you doing that, but it's awesome.
No, but we had to get used to it whenever the blue one came out here. When it came out here in 15, there were so many different ways people were talking about, oh, you got to pull it this way, you got to pull it that way. And I know Chris was one of them that really sat down and studied it on the internet, was trying to really figure it out when it got here. We had to adapt to how it was. Now, the same thing we're going to have to do with the red one. The red one's just a little bit different.
Yeah.
And, we got to start working with ourselves.
They're all different. They're all different to the point. I mean, we all say that. I mean, Richard's building this one right now, and it's testament to it. You could get 2 complete sets of parts, so to speak, and you could, if you had a shop big enough, you could build 2 of them side by side, one piece at a time, each step of the way. When you get done, they will not be identical.
Mm-mm.
Same with motors. Motors, same way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. You just one's going to do better than the other one. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that old game, back in the day where everybody, basically ran a 460, 440, or 454, for a motor. That's all you had. That's all gone now. There's no more of the stock block stuff. Everybody's aftermarket for everything now. And, it picks up with the sleds too. Everything's just moving in progression together.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There are great shows back when we were kids, watching them and going down there and seeing all these trucks and watch them growing up. But I think it's just grown. It's grown the sport and grown the activity, and it just makes it such. it just makes it more apt to the people watching.
Yeah.
We're getting more speed. We're putting out more horsepower. It's just it's no different than watching how all the other racing and everything else has just grown over the years.
I like throwing dirt back to the windshield on the sled. That's what's fun for me.
How many times did you do that this year?
Windshields in them now.
The old trucker's trouble used to do that a lot, Chris. Everybody
I
did.
broke
Man.
any
When you get down
windows
to
yet,
the
but
DM, man, that dirt was flying over the box.
Yeah,
No doubt.
this
Yeah, remember?
CSI was trying to bounce the truck over the pan.
Yeah. Well, the Ford stuff, they helped you out. They had a motor on it, push you along, so you get down the other end.
Yeah, whatever.
You choke for the fans,
Oh well.
If you look back from the old shows to now, like Dan said, it's cat and mouse. One pushed the other. Vehicles. I mean, we went from sleds to start with. It was just loaded with dead weight, and people stepped on them because nothing went faster than 2 or 3 miles an hour. They got bigger. Sleds got bigger, and even from the '80s that we're talking about now, just a box going up and nothing else going on. I mean, between the Ellenbaum guys with Thumb and Dave Hager and those guys are figuring out how to make a pan drop and then figuring out how to put teeth underneath them. The evolution of vehicles pushed the evolution of the sleds, and then vice versa. It all went together.
Yeah, the first technically drop sled that we had out here on the West Coast was when Gary Fernandez bought I want to say the old Coors Light sled or Coors.
Why wasn't it? It was out of Arizona, wasn't it?
No, not Colorado. I thought
Colorado. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know why I know that, but.
And then Brian ended up buying it from Gary in 2000. That was updated to us out here for quite a few years, coming from Trucker's Trouble and the Cal Poly sled and all that. That was the first real quote unquote drop sled, was that one out here.
I think Ellenbaum's wasn't that big one he built. Wasn't that the first drop by us, Logan?
The uphill ones had the mechanical pan hold up and drop deal, or doesn't had airbags under the front.
But remember Ellenbaum when he the late '80s there when he came out with that new one? I thought that was the first with the pan that dropped, wasn't it?
No, the flat one, 14, was the first one that he actually had down pressure on.
That's okay. That's what, because the back would come up on it.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Yeah, that was the first one of his that had push down on it.
Yeah.
I think, and it's kind of like the old argument that say, well, who had the first one that was actually self-propelled? There's lots of different opinions. Ellenbaum, the 14 actually had hydraulic push down. I think Hager and Ludke around that time point might have had done it with airbags.
Ludke's, I know, was airbags. I remember that one.
Yeah. But we had guys around here that did truck pulls in the 70s, and they had a sled they built, which is still running. Still runs in Smith Valley. They do it for tractors, for little antique tractors. But it's an old 3-axle transfer sled or whatever. But they ran around here for a few years, and they got busted because evidently there was a patent on the transfer weight, and
everybody had to deal with that in the 80s.
They
70s,
shut down.
Wasn't it 70s?
Yeah, it was the 70s. Yeah,
been late 70s.
Shut down because of that, and that sled set for a long time. And when I was with the Country Mods, we tried to buy it, and they wanted way too much money. But now it's out at Smith Valley, and they're still pulling it, so it's kind of cool.
Interesting.
Dad's sled, before I completely stripped it and painted it a few years ago, which it needs repainting again. It actually had one of the Watkins Associates patent decals on it, and I took a good picture of it.
Oh, how cool!
To kind of document that it had it was the guy did it. He had built it, and it was patented by quote unquote form of traveling weight box was how they got that, and that's how. In the late 70s, you saw the Landau sleds, and even Ohio built the Heartbreaker 3 was what they called The Landau sleds were the ones that just like a Landau trailer with a pan under the front, and they parked all those tractors on them. And
Right,
the pan was real short, and you had the sliding axles, under a Landau trailer. And they started basically in the middle of the trailer at the starting line, and then it was ground-driven hydraulic somehow that moved the axle to the back, which let the weight of the tractors, put pressure on the pan.
I remember seeing
And then
pictures of that.
Yeah, I think
a lot of those old pictures, like from NTPA, especially from back around, I think they used it at Louisville a time or two. But it did not have a traveling weight box. That was their way around the pack.
Right.
And then Northwest Ohio tried that with Heartbreaker 3 that had basically like a big box with a set of tandems under the back and a pan under the front. And the guy actually rode on the back. And it was some kind of ground-driven linkage, and it had basically a training wheel that was right in the center of the pan.
Wow.
And it was pushed down by mechanical linkage to like let the weight ride on the tire, and you could change gears in it. And the further it went, it would back the linkage off and actually raise the wheel up. I mean, the sled didn't actually move any weight. It was just in there all the time. It just went from rolling to, lifting that wheel up and letting the pan on the ground. But it didn't perform like they thought it would. That was actually built in the early 80s sometime. I think I've got a magazine article about it somewhere.
Well, Logan, some of those guys back there, I seen, I know Dan knows too, they had just a semi truck they'd roll up with, and they'd drive the front end on a pan, and the sled, the roll up box on the back of the truck. I still got a couple videos from the early 80s back there. I think Iowa or somewhere, but it looked like a semi truck.
North Dakota, they still run one of those in North Dakota.
Well, there's one.
What do you think, Dan? Where were those at?
One where, Logan?
There's one still running like that I know of. It's in Western Pennsylvania, and actually the guy that is I take that back. Jeff doesn't run it anymore, but Jeff Solly, who's I think he's I don't know if he's technically the secretary or the treasurer of the Sled Association. He ran that thing for a while. He doesn't anymore. He took up with a guy with a super farm tractor, and he actually got to the fun side of pulling, as I call it. But that thing's built out of an old cab over Mack, and they still use it. They still move it around.
Wow.
And it's
that's cool.
I don't want to use the word antiquated technology by what we have now, but to walk up to the thing and look at it and see it work, I guess it's kind of like looking at farm machinery from 100 years ago. You look at it and think that's pretty slick that people thought this up for this to work this good.
Modern marvels.
It's a good spectacle to the sport and how everything went. That thing, and it still does. They still pull hot farms, all kinds of pickups with it, and they'll pull street semis with it.
Wow.
It's pretty neat.
Wow.
Oh, cool.
That's cool.
Never move any weight. They just change gears and change where the pan drops and stuff.
Wow. That's awesome.
That's awesome, man.
Cool. Well, anybody else got any questions for these two or three? I'm sorry, I forgot about you, James.
Okay, I got three. I got I got 4 questions. I'm gonna start with James. James, what's your plan for next year?
Well, I'm hoping I'm gonna be able to come to most of the polls. It's I get off pretty early for school in May, but I don't know if I'll be working this summer or where I'll be. So my goal is just to be at as many polls as possible, regardless of the points or winning or anything else. I just want to be there. Yeah.
Right on, man. Right on. And I got
We'd love to have you there, but if you're not, that's okay, James. It's okay.
No, Yellow Fever will still be there, Chris. Don't worry.
I had a question for everybody before I left. So, Chris, are you still going to drive a Ford next year?
Well, the hell didn't freeze over, did it?
Okay, no, I'm just checking, just making sure, man.
I'm gonna keep it on the ground from now on, okay, Logan? We'll keep it on the ground.
I know you guys. Dan,
Gish, get on real quick, Gish.
Yeah, Gish will be down. You guys got him hooked in, so he'll be down more next year. But Dan, bummer I missed you at Madera, man. I was looking forward to seeing you. I went by a couple times, just everything going on, but I'd really like to talk to you more because your history on the Poland is just unbelievable, man.
Yep. Oh, he'll be back.
I kind of retained a lot of the West Coast stuff, and you did everything else. And you too, Logan. I'd like to meet you guys in person one day, so hopefully we can do that.
Cool guy.
And then John, just keep that Mopar going, man. You guys get the parts out of the garage or the dump, whatever you can do to get your truck going.
Harbor Freight.
Yeah, Chris said Harbor Freight.
Harbor Freight and Amazon.
All right, good deal, man. But no, Dan, I wanted to ask you. So you've been to so many polls out there. What was your favorite truck ever?
Wow.
I know it's hard. I know they asked me that too. What was your most favorite truck that you ever seen or watched?
So 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, or are we going to narrow it down?
Let's pick both. Let's pick a 2-wheeler and 4-wheeler.
The baddest of the baddest.
Most favorite 2-wheel drive, most favorite 4-wheel drive. You too, Logan. You'll go next.
Boy. Well, I'd have to say my favorite 2-wheel drive would have to be Dan Walsh's Irish Challenger.
Irish Challenger, Dan and Dave.
Ford,
awesome.
Baby, Ford. There we go.
I've always, since they brought that first one out there, that was always the most beautiful truck. And they don't have any 2-wheelers anymore. But I'm still on Dave to paint this tractor the old Irish green. But
nice.
He hasn't done that yet.
Still pulling too, Dan. I think that truck's still pulling. I think that truck is still pulling.
Yeah, he said it was. I forget where. There was a couple of them at one time there, and they've all kind of gone this and that. But I'd have to say that that first Irish Challenger was probably my favorite 2-wheel drive.
Yeah.
And then 4-wheel drive, boy, oh boy, boy, oh boy, boy. I would have to say probably. I would have to say that Oklahoma Showdown when that came out.
Oh yeah, that was a good
Johnson's
one.
Johnson Brothers. Yep.
Yeah.
I would say that was probably the. I would say that. I mean, because that thing was state of the art. There, Angler built the frame on that, and I'd have to say that would probably be my, back when favorites, and
Awesome. Thanks, Dan. What about you, Logan? Favorite 2-wheel drive, favorite 4-wheel drive?
You already asked me one question I couldn't answer. Where my favorite place was.
Yeah, I can't answer that either.
I know it's hard. I know I've been there too, man. It's hard. There's so many good ones.
I love them all. I like them all.
Me too.
I'm gonna say, if I was real honest about it, I'd probably hurt feelings of the top 3 up there because my favorite 4-wheel drive would have black smoke coming out of the hood. But sorry,
that's cool. Yeah, that'll work.
Hey, we cater to the hairdryer guys too. It's okay. You know the hairdryers, right?
What's up, guys?
Yeah.
Hey, where you been?
Hello. Sorry about that. Now I can hear you.
Yeah. Where you been?
Driving.
We're like almost over.
I know. Perfect timing, right?
Oregon time. He's on Oregon time.
Yeah, exactly. You guys are goofy. Yeah, nope. Sorry, I missed it. We were heading over the hill tonight to go see family.
So, Dan, if you could drive any pulling vehicle, whose would it be and where?
Oh boy, current or back when?
It don't matter. Anytime.
Don't matter.
Don't matter. Green Monster.
James, start thinking.
I already got it.
I would have to say probably the old Irish Challenger mod.
Yeah,
nice.
Awesome.
Right on.
Awesome.
I mean, that thing was a beast back when.
The 3-engine or the 4 and 5 engine?
The 5-engine one.
Okay.
The 5-engine one.
So
Yeah,
you gotta
Walsh
get
has
more
built
specific.
some
There
awesome
was
stuff,
the
man.
stair-step one.
Yep.
Logan, you being behind the hook, which one would you want to drive?
Well,
it don't matter if it has a hairdryer or not. It's okay.
Well, it would have multiple hair dryers under some red sheet metal. I don't know. Honestly, we go way back. We're going way back here again. But like when I was talking about my dad, my uncle, and all them, they pulled red super stocks back in the day with stuff that as bad as they were 40 years ago, a super farm now would stomp all over it. But
Wow.
if Colin would give me half a chance to drive triple bypass, I think that would have to be it.
Yeah,
Right on.
badass. I'd be right behind you with that one. That's pretty awesome. What about you, James?
I mean, it's definitely the whip for me. I haven't driven it yet.
Oh, that twin engine tractor.
They ain't let you drive that yet?
I'm hopefully on the list for one day, but
They just tell Kevo, just tell him, just jump in there and say I'm driving tonight.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna wrap up a bunch of T-shirts for him to shoot, and then.
Well, you got that dude. Just wave out with that T-shirt, Dan. You'll be good.
Yeah,
Hey,
exactly.
just tell your uncle they're giving away Coors Light in the stands right before he goes, and he'll run up there and you can jump in the seat.
Yep.
Done deal.
Yeah, that could work too. Yeah, between the two of them.
Have your Uncle Steve take him out, and then you'll be
Yeah,
awesome,
Yeah.
guys.
definitely would.
I know my favorite truck, and one that I wish I can that ultimate
You don't care.
drive is a West Coast truck would be the Falcon. What'd you say, dickhead?
We don't care. I'm
The
just
Falcon would be the
yeah,
best
I
one.
agree. I agree.
That'd be cool.
I agree with John. The Falcon would be badass. Yeah.
Well, here, I got a question for you, Logan. Since you're behind the trucks and tractors all the time, what's the wildest ride? Like, what class gives you the wildest ride?
Definitely.
Showed up late, right?
This is he showed up late. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry,
ask him that.
sorry.
You're good,
I'm
Gib.
still
You're all right.
gonna
Hey, his name's Jason. He's okay. He's good. Just
Right,
ask
right.
him.
It was a mini Jason. Yeah, it's a cheap name that year.
Although Logan, I've seen how many times you've got up against the wall there, different places over the years.
Yeah, too many.
Yeah. That's crazy, man.
But now I went what 10? I think I went 10 years before I had one laid on its side in front of me, and that was a mini.
Oh,
I've had
wow.
four
Yeah.
of those.
Those
So
things are
far,
crazy
just in
now.
the last however many 2-3 years, whatever it was, I've had 4 minis and 1 hot farm, 1 big tractor on its side in front of me now.
Jeez, that's incredible.
So Logan, how many backstreets have you had since you've run the sled?
Yeah.
None yet, but
Oh, you're
probably regret it later on.
thank God.
Well, just like you guys were talking about with the tires, I mean, that's what the minis now, man. Those things are they're just like a top fuel tire now. They load and unload and they let off a little bit, and that's when everything just goes haywire. You know,
Right?
that's when
Yeah,
you
no
see
kidding.
they
Crazy.
just-
Sitting on the back
Crazy,
of a mini
crazy.
sled now at this point, if you see a blower hat, if you see that over top of the top bar of a roll cage,
Oh,
that never ends well.
Right. That's incredible.
Isn't underneath your pan, right?
Yeah, it will be in the
Dan-
blink of an eye.
Dan, I know we didn't ask this question, but where was your first event that you announced in the pulling world?
Boy, it had to be in New York.
Hey, you guys can watch TV. Go ahead.
Boy, I would have to say, actually, I think Dansville, New York. I think Dansville, New York would have been the first place I ever announced. Yep, that would have been back in 2006, I think it was. Yeah, 2006.
That's pretty recent.
Yeah.
When you got done that night, did Henry tell you what you done wrong, Dan?
No, but we had a few beverages afterward, though. That's
There you go. There you go.
that was always.
Because
That was the
I
fun
still
part.
think too is what, along with the sled and us with the competition on the track and everything else. Another thing that makes a great show is the commentary.
Oh,
The
That's-
commentary and the announcers
definitely.
make the show.
Yep.
Because you
Yep.
get somebody in there that knows the equipment, knows the people, they can jazz it up.
And they understand, what's
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah, and you get these down periods in between, and they can carry a show.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, that's where it's always my misfortune. But if you ever get somewhere and you have the sled broke in the middle of the track, that's when a good announcer can earn his
Yep.
paycheck.
Yep.
Agreed. 100%.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's right there showing everybody off right there.
Yeah.
You dang right, man. the sled broke up in Eureka, California, about 1987, and Dave Matthews was the promoter in NFPA then, and one of the guys that worked with Ron Mealing, he went down there and seen what was wrong with the sled and said, hey, at that time the transmission was ran by a Ford 9-inch on the front.
Oh, whatever.
The old trucker's trouble. And he says, hey, Dave, he said, we found a guy, in the stands, got a wrecking yard around here. We can go get a third member out. We can fix this, but you got to keep the crowd going. This is like 30 minutes before the poll started. So Dave got on the announce booth and said, hey, all you guys, everybody up here in the stands, come on down to the pits, meet the drivers, hang around the trucks. Gish, your dad was there. I know that.
Yeah.
You probably remember that one. But he got everybody down there, just made the show out of it, kept going, and took them about an hour. They ran down, got a third member out, and got back to the polls there, and they put the sled back together while they were talking to the fans and getting everybody to look at the trucks. And then, it was an hour late, but the show went on. So
that's so
good
cool.
announcer. That's always a good thing, man, because that's people don't like the idle stuff. And
yeah, that's a happy
hero stories,
Yeah.
We were at San Bernardino, and Quaylo's sled broke a U-joint, and they didn't have another one. And so they set the weight box and tried to pull the two-wheelers with just the weight box set ahead. And that didn't work out too well. Pretty soon the crowd caught on, and they went ballistic. They were throwing beer on the announcer. They had in front of the announcer, and they were throwing beer at him. And pretty soon they actually called in the National Guard helicopters.
Oh no!
God, there, San Bernardino. That's like Compton. That's
Right.
So we went.
Hit the dirt, man.
Johnny Reed remembers this. We went in the pits and we loaded up. By the time we got loaded up, all the crowd was gone. But it was just like, man, it was scary. It was like, man, you don't want a broken sled. That's a bad juju.
Yeah, for sure.
But we made it out alive. That's the main thing.
Yep.
Yeah, no spray paint on the side of the trucks. You're good.
Yeah.
Chris. That's good.
Oh, when you get tagged, no.
Good, right on.
No, we definitely want to thank you guys for coming.
Dan can attest to this better than anybody now. We're talking about people don't like idle time. It's the worst now than it's ever been before, because we as society, we don't even wait to watch the 11 p.m. news anymore. You stream everything. Everything is on demand. If you want to look, like, I still want to get my teachers from middle school, but we had to go look stuff up in an encyclopedia. Now you pull your phone out and Google it.
Right.
Everybody, people have no patience anymore. People they don't like to sit still very long, and if they come to pay to see the show, they want to see it, and they don't want to sit there.
Money's worth by God. Yeah.
Well, and then a lot of it's so fake. What do you believe? A lot of the news and stuff, it's so fake that the stuff that they post online or Facebook or Instagram or whatever, a lot of it's fake and made up. You're like, so is it even real?
Right. Exactly.
It's just like that 900-inch motor that Double Ugly's getting this winter.
Yeah.
Yeah, pullers aren't fake, Dave, man. The pullers are all legit.
Ford motor in it,
the Ford guy.
Listen, you're getting one too?
Some kind of joke.
Yeah.
Nothing going on with the Ford guys.
You're screwed, man. Garrett and I come for you, brother.
Well, if Dave can win with a 572, I don't need to do nothing. We're good.
Yeah, no shit, right?
I think we got 620 in it.
Yeah, you're good.
Not a baby.
Yeah.
We're changing the rules.
Congratulations, James. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Good job.
Right on, James.
Yeah.
Well, that's good, man. Way to go, brother.
You know what, though? I mean, you winning that was pretty freaking cool, but your reaction when Kevin beat Melanesio, oh my God.
Yeah.
You freaking levitated and we're like, yeah, high-fiving everybody. Was badass. That was cool, man. That was a cool reaction.
The random people I was shaking probably still have bruises from
yes, oh yeah.
I was. Yeah.
My hand still hurts, but yeah, it's all right, man. We're good.
That's great of a pass. The whip made just an awesome pass.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Yep.
And that was the first time in a couple of years that he had been beaten.
Yeah, forever.
That's the first time that track was ever beat here.
Yeah.
That was impressive. Yeah.
Asia. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Which we lost the next night, but that was just a fluke.
Yeah.
He was out to get you the next night.
That was a one-off for
So,
sure.
well, they lost, but the Yellow Fever won. So
The Yellow Fever did win, yeah. So I
One
had a great win both nights.
point.
Right.
Good
Yeah.
job,
Exactly.
guys.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's awesome.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
You guys, thank you so much for coming on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for having us. Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll do it again.
No,
Logan,
great seeing all you guys, man. Hey, hope everybody has a dynamite Thanksgiving, man. With your
Yeah, you
families
guys
and
too.
everything.
Yes.
Right on.
God bless you.
Bless
all.
you guys. Awesome.
All right. Thank you guys.
I also got to put it out there, happy birthday to my wife, her big 50 this
Yeah.
today.
Oh yeah, right on. Yeah.
You're
Awesome.
not supposed to tell her age, man.
Right. Yeah. Geez, John.
Times two.
Gray on, there's a gray on it, man. He looks way older than me.
25 times two.
Oh.
But
Right
yeah,
on.
thank you guys for coming on. I'm loving this bridging the gap between West Coast and East Coast and everything else. And
Yeah.
it's been a joy getting to know you guys. I've been friends with you guys on the internet for a little while, but now getting to meet you guys like Logan, where we met at the shop or at Massetti's and stuff. It's fun to bridge these gaps now, and
Yeah,
this has
for
been
sure.
a joy.
Yeah, very good people. Nice to meet you guys. And
Yeah, I can't wait to talk up California here when we go to the farm show and
Nevada. Don't forget about Nevada.
well, West Coast. Let's just say
Okay,
West Coast.
There you go. Oregon. Yeah, we got Oregon down there.
Yeah. Yeah.
They have a little bit of oxygen left in that state, I think.
Hey, great talking to you guys, man. Dan,
Yeah, thank
Logan,
you.
all you guys
Thank
that
you.
look forward to meeting you guys in
Sam.
person. James, way to go.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Chris,
Congratulations,
I'll see
James.
you guys. JB,
Good job, buddy.
Big J Gish. Yeah, you guys are awesome, man. We'll see you guys soon.
All
All
right.
right.
Only other thing I'll say, and I know everybody's ready to go, but when Brian bought the blue sled in 2015, I hopped a plane. I went out there. I went to Tulare to the farm show with him 9 years ago. So I got to meet Jim Burgosian. I'm probably butchered his name, but
Joe.
that was
you
the
did
first
good.
time I got to go out there and see it. And from 9 years ago to 2 weeks ago, it kind of blew my mind at how much stuff
Right.
in that side of the country has caught up.
Nice.
It's,
Good to
they're
hear.
they're no joke on the West Coast. I about said East Coast, but
It's all right.
Yeah.
it was pretty cool to me in 9 years to see how much progression everything had made. And I got to go to Bowling Green for my very first time this past year. I was
Oh, wow.
always pulling somewhere that weekend, and I can honestly say, especially just in the last few years, that GSI is only second place for the amount of fun I had to bowling.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow,
that's
right
awesome.
on.
Yeah,
You can't go to
Wow.
California and
Cool.
pull with that bunch and have a good time. It is your own fault. You are like antisocial or
Right.
something.
That's cool, man.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
cold
Yep.
when you go to bed. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. That's a hell of a compliment.
Make sure
Yeah. That's awesome.
Make sure your dad hears that, James.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
Yeah,
kidding.
I'm sure he's watching.
That's
Yeah.
pretty awesome.
No, that's cool. Yeah, you're going to be busy next year, Logan, flying out and running that sled every weekend for Brian. So,
Frequent flyer miles coming.
yeah, you're gonna you got a private jet or what,
We'll keep you fed, Logan. We'll keep you
Yeah.
fed. All right.
Yep.
Hey, just be nice to two-wheel drives that got weird trucks. That's all I'm saying. That's
Yeah.
just be nice.
That Joker guy over there, you got to watch out for him.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you
Trust me,
guys, and
if
stand by.
somebody
I'm gonna.
comes and tells me that like something don't work, then I get experimental. I was like, no, it'll work. Just let me figure it out.
Right.
Right on,
Right.
man.
Awesome.
So, yeah, stand
Awesome.
by. I'll play it
Thank
out.
you
Hold on.
guys. Yep.
Happy Thanksgiving.